There's this weird thing that happens when you're worried about money. You're not actually thinking about money most of the time. You're thinking about the absence of it. You're lying awake at night, and I mean actually awake, staring at the ceiling at 2 in the morning, wondering if that weird sound your car is making means you're about to drop 3 grand on repairs that you absolutely don't have. You're in a meeting at work and you're not paying attention to what your boss is saying because you're mentally calculating whether your paycheck will cover rent and food and that bill you forgot about. You're at the grocery store and you're doing math in your head about what you can and can't afford. You're turning down plans with friends because you're doing mental calculations about whether you can afford to participate. And it's exhausting. It's the kind of exhaustion that sleep doesn't fix because it's not physical, it's psychological, it's mental. Your brain is constantly in this background stress mode trying to solve an unsolvable equation, trying to figure out how to make your money stretch further than it possibly can. This is what most people think financial stress is. Not having enough money. But here's the thing that nobody talks about. That's only half the problem. The real issue is that when you don't have money, you don't have peace. You don't have calm, you don't have control, and you definitely don't have confidence. And I've spent way too much time thinking about money, the psychology of money, and more importantly, how to actually achieve something that most people chase their entire lives but never quite catch: financial calm. And it's not what you think it is. You know, if you're curious about what actual financial calm looks like and what it takes to build it step by step without needing to be rich, make sure you hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it helps you figure out how to finally stop stressing about money. Financial calm isn't about being wealthy. It's not about having $1 million or a fancy car or the ability to retire tomorrow. Those things might come eventually, and that's fine, but they're not the same thing as peace. I know plenty of people who make 6 figures and are still stressed about money all the time. They're worried they're going to lose their job. They're worried they're not saving enough. They're worried inflation is going to destroy their buying power. They're still doing mental calculations at the grocery store, just at a higher income level. And I know people making 40, 50,000 a year who sleep like babies because they've got something figured out that most high earners haven't. And that something is financial calm. Financial calm is the feeling you get when you know that if something goes wrong tomorrow, you're going to be okay. It's the ability to go to the grocery store without mentally calculating whether you can afford the name brand cereal or if you need to stick with generic. It's being able to say no to opportunities that don't serve you instead of saying yes to everything because you need the money. It's being able to decline that sketchy side gig or that job offer that feels wrong because you have options, you have time to find something better. It's waking up in the morning and your first thought isn't about your bank account balance. You're not immediately checking your accounts. You're not doing emergency math to figure out if you're okay. That's financial calm. And it's not actually that hard to create once you understand what the real building blocks are. Most people think it's this distant, impossible thing that happens to other people or that requires being rich, but it doesn't. It just requires knowing what to build and in what order. The first block in creating financial calm is establishing what I call a calm buffer. Most people think the first step to financial calm is making more money. That's wrong. The first step is creating a small amount of financial insulation between you and disaster. Like a calm buffer is basically an emergency fund, but I'm calling it a calm buffer because that's what it actually does. It creates calm. When you have $1,000 sitting in a savings account, you're in a different mental space than when you have zero. I'm not saying $1,000 is going to fund a comfortable retirement or change your life dramatically in the grand scheme of things. But psychologically, it changes everything. It's not about the money itself. It's about what the money represents. It represents options. It represents the ability to handle life's surprises without panicking. Your car breaks down and costs $500. Instead of panic, instead of lying awake at night wondering how you're going to pay for it, instead of figuring out how to put it on a credit card and paying 20% interest, Instead of calling your parents to borrow money and dealing with that awkwardness and obligation, you just fix your car. You write the check. It's done. It's an inconvenience. It's annoying. You're frustrated that your car broke, but it's not a disaster. It's not a crisis. That's the first level of peace. You move through the world differently when you know you have a small cushion. You're not hyper vigilant about every possible expense. You're not constantly calculating survival. You're not running through worst case scenarios in your head. When you get to 3 months of living expenses in your emergency fund, something else happens. You cross a threshold. Something shifts. Suddenly, you're not in survival mode anymore. Most people's brains operate in survival mode when they're living paycheck to paycheck. Every decision is filtered through fear. Take the job you hate, you have to, because you need that paycheck. Leave the relationship that's toxic, you can't, because you need to split rent. Try something new or invest in yourself? Impossible. Your brain literally can't think past the immediate threats to survival. When you have 3 months of living expenses saved, your brain gets the signal that you're going to be okay for a while. You're not going to be homeless next month. Your kids are going to eat. You're going to keep the lights on. And when your brain gets that signal, it stops running the survival program at full volume and starts thinking about growth. That's when real peace starts showing up. The second block is control. And this is where most people mess up because they think control means obsessively tracking every penny like some kind of financial psychopath. That's not control. That's anxiety. That's just making yourself miserable in a different way. Real control is knowing where your money is going. Most people have no idea. They look at their account and money's just disappearing. Where did it go? Did I spend that? I don't remember. It was probably groceries, or was it online shopping? This is how people end up broke and confused. They're not broke because they're making too little money. Well, sometimes that's part of it, but mostly they're broke because they have no idea where it's going. They're bleeding money without even realizing it. You start getting control by doing something really simple and kind of tedious, but it works. Just write down what you spend for a month. Actually track it. Not to judge yourself, not to feel guilty or beat yourself up, just to see. Because once you see where it's going, you actually get to make decisions about it instead of just having it happen to you. You realize you're spending $400 a month on subscriptions you forgot you had. Netflix you're not using, that gym membership you haven't been to since January, some app you signed up for once. You're spending $300 on coffee and meals out that you didn't plan for, that just sort of added up. You're throwing away money on things that don't matter. And the moment you see that, you can make a choice. Some of it you cut, some of it you keep because it's actually worth it to you. But you're choosing instead of just letting it happen to you. That's control. And control creates calm. When you know where your money is going, you stop feeling helpless about it. You're not a victim of your circumstances anymore. You're making active decisions. You're being intentional. That creates a sense of agency that's incredibly powerful psychologically. It's the difference between something happening to you and you making it happen. The third block is eliminating the specific kind of debt that keeps you trapped. Not all debt is created equal, not even close. A mortgage on a reasonable house? That's not the same as credit card debt at 22% interest. Student loans that are helping you build career capital and earning potential? That's different than personal loans for vacations you took 5 years ago and can't remember. There's a massive difference. The debt that kills peace is high interest debt. Credit card debt specifically, because credit card debt isn't really debt in the traditional sense. It's a trap disguised as convenience. It's like a financial weight that keeps getting heavier. You spend money now, you don't have to pay it back immediately, and then interest accumulates so fast that the thing you bought for $200 ends up costing you $400 and then $500. You're making minimum payments and barely making a dent on the balance. It's this slow financial suffocation that never quite feels like a crisis until it absolutely is. You've been drowning so long, you forgot what it felt like to breathe normally. getting rid of credit card debt isn't just a financial decision, it's a peace decision, it's a sanity decision. As long as you're carrying it, it's sitting on you. It's in the back of your mind constantly. Every purchase you make, you're aware it's probably getting added to the balance. You can't breathe, you can't relax because you know the interest is working against you every single day. Every single day that you don't pay it off, you're losing money to interest. Money just disappearing. I know people who paid off credit card debt and said it was like someone lifted a weight off their chest. Like they could finally take a full breath. Like they forgot what it felt like to not be stressed. That's what eliminating high interest debt does to your peace. It's not just about the money, it's about the psychological relief of knowing it's gone. It's not sitting there waiting for you anymore. The fourth block is building confidence through small wins. Financial calm isn't just about security or safety, it's about confidence. It's about knowing that you can do hard things, that you can make sacrifices and see results, that you're not powerless in your own financial situation, that you have agency. Most people feel powerless, they feel like money just happens to them. They get paid, bills automatically go out, they survive until the next paycheck. And that's just how life is. That's just the game. That's just what you do as an adult. But that's not how it has to be. When you save your first $1,000 and put it in an account and leave it there for a few months and watch it sit there as your safety net, something shifts inside you. You prove to yourself that you can do it, you did something hard, you made sacrifices, and you succeeded. When you pay off your first credit card and watch that balance go to zero, you just proved you can win against debt. You can beat something that felt unbeatable. When you negotiate your bills and cut your subscriptions and suddenly have an extra $200 a month, you proved you can take control of your situation. These wins build on each other. Confidence creates momentum. Momentum creates more wins. And suddenly, you're not the person who feels powerless anymore. You're not the person who things happen to. You're the person who makes things happen. You're the person who gets things done. That confidence bleeds into other areas of your life too. Like, you're more confident in your job negotiations because you know you don't desperately need that job. You have options. You can walk away if it's not right. That confidence often leads to better opportunities and better pay because people respond to confidence. You're more confident in your relationships because you're not stressed about money all the time. So you're more present and engaged. You're more confident in your decisions generally because you've proven to yourself that you're capable of following through on things. The fifth block is understanding that financial calm is about psychology as much as it is about numbers. This is where most financial advice falls short. People talk about saving rates and investment returns and compound interest, and those things matter, don't get me wrong. The math does matter, but what really matters is how you think about money. Because your thoughts determine your behaviors, and your behaviors determine your results. It's not complicated. Most people have a scarcity mindset about money. They see money as something that never lasts. They see saving as deprivation, like they're cutting off their own oxygen. They see investing as risky and unnecessary and way too complicated, so they don't save. They don't invest. They live paycheck to paycheck, and their circumstances stay the same year after year after year. It's this trap they can't escape because they're operating from a scarcity frame. But people with financial calm have a different mindset. They see money as a tool that multiplies their options. They see saving as creating power for themselves. They see investing as buying their future freedom, so they save, they invest, their circumstances change, they move forward. The money didn't change anything. The mindset changed everything. Once you have calm, control, and initial confidence, you start to develop this abundance mindset. Not because you suddenly have abundant money, you probably don't, but because you have space to think about growth instead of just survival. Your brain isn't locked in panic mode anymore. And that changes your entire trajectory. You start noticing opportunities for income that you didn't see before. Side hustles, freelance work, asking for raises, things you probably would have dismissed before as too risky or too much work or not for you. But now that you've got a small foundation, you can take those risks because you know you're not going to lose your house if it doesn't work out. You've got a buffer. You've got options. You start thinking about your career differently. You're not just trying to keep the job you have and hope they don't fire you. You're thinking about how to build a career that pays more. That's more fulfilling. That has more potential. You start making better financial decisions overall because you're not making them from a place of panic and desperation. You're making them from a place of intention. And intention creates a completely different life. Here's the thing that most people don't realize about financial calm. It's not actually that far away. It's not like you need to be wealthy to have it. You don't need a six-figure income. You don't need to be special or lucky or brilliant at investing or somehow born with financial superpowers. You just need to be intentional. You just need to follow a sequence. You need to stop the bleeding by eliminating high interest debt. You need to build a small safety net so your brain knows you're going to be okay. You need to get control of your spending so you know where your money is going. You need to win some small battles so you believe in yourself and start to develop confidence. And then you need to change your mindset from scarcity to growth. That's it. That's the whole thing. Most people never do it because it feels too slow. They want to skip to the six-figure income or the investment portfolio or the passive income that solves all their problems. They want the fast track. But the foundation comes first. And the foundation is financial calm. Start with your calm buffer. If you don't have $1,000 saved, that's step one. Not investing in crypto because you heard about some guy who got rich. Not picking individual stocks, not starting a business on a shoestring budget. Just saving your first $1,000. That'll probably take you a few months depending on your income. Then build that to 3 months of living expenses. That might take you a year or two. Meanwhile, while you're building your emergency fund, start getting control of your spending, track it, cut the things that aren't serving you. The subscriptions you forgot about, the things you buy but don't use, then aggressively tackle any high interest debt. Stop using credit cards if you're carrying a balance. Just stop. Stop adding to it. Pay them off. This is the unglamorous stuff. It's not exciting. Nobody's going to make a viral TikTok video about how they saved $1,000 over 6 months. There's no drama. There's no excitement. But this is what separates people who achieve financial calm from people who never do. This is what separates people who build actual wealth from people who stay stuck their entire lives. Once you've got the foundation, then you start thinking about bigger moves. Then you start investing for real. Then you start building multiple income streams. Then you start thinking about longer term wealth and retirement and all of that. But you do it from a position of peace, not panic. You do it from a position of control, not chaos. You do it from a position of confidence, not desperation. And that changes the entire game. That fundamentally transforms what's possible for you. Financial calm is available to you right now. It doesn't require a massive income. It doesn't require getting lucky or winning the lottery. It requires being intentional. It requires patience. It requires discipline. It requires showing up and doing the work, even when it feels slow and boring and like you're not making progress. But the peace that comes on the other side of that work, the calm, the control, the confidence, it's worth every bit of effort you put in. Trust me on this.